My neighbor's party went until 4 a.m. Again, I called once, twice, 3 times. The next morning, my lawn was covered in broken glass and vomit. I confronted him. He said, "Deal with it, old man."
So I did.
And 3 days later, his landlord showed up unannounced. I'm 58. I've lived in the same quiet neighborhood in Tucson, Arizona for 22 years. Retired early after working maintenance at the city college. Nothing fancy, just a little ranch house with a lawn I take pride in. I don't bother anyone. I know all my neighbors, even the ones who keep to themselves. It's the kind of place where people wave when they drive by. Or at least it used to be. Things changed 4 months ago when the house next door got rented out. The landlord, a guy named Brett, decent enough, turned it into a short-term rental. Said it'd help with bills. I wasn't thrilled, but I get it. Life's expensive. The first group was a couple in their 20s. Quiet. Friendly. No issues. But then came him. His name was Kyle. Maybe 30s, hard to tell under all the messy hair and loud tank tops. Showed up with a lifted truck, a Bluetooth speaker the size of a cooler, and a revolving door of friends who seemed to live in party mode. The first weekend, the music started around 9 p.m. I let it go. I figured they'd wrap it up by midnight. They didn't. It kept going until 3:30 a.m. Bass shaking my windows. I called the non-emergency line. Police came around 2 a.m. I watched through the blinds. They talked. Kyle laughed, then turned it down. For an hour. Then it started back up. Next morning, I saw beer cans tossed in my front yard. No big deal. I cleaned it up. But I was annoyed. Second weekend was worse. Music didn't stop until almost 5 a.m. I didn't even call that time. Just laid there, listening, staring at the ceiling, trying not to lose my temper. The third weekend was the one that pushed me. It was a Friday. I had trimmed the hedges earlier that afternoon. Cleaned the gutters. Normal stuff. At 9:15 p.m., the music started again. This time louder. I looked outside and counted 7 cars parked on the street. His backyard lights were flashing like a nightclub. At 11:45 p.m., I walked over. I knocked. No answer. Knocked again. Nothing. I could hear laughter and music through the door. Finally, it opened. Kyle leaned against the frame, beer in hand, red plastic cup in the other. I said, calm as I could, "Hey, can you turn it down a little? It's really loud." He looked at me like I was something stuck to his shoe. Smirked. "It's the weekend, man. Chill out." I kept my voice steady. I've called the police before. It's not just the noise. It's the trash. My lawn was covered in beer cans last time. That's when he said it. I'll never forget the way his voice sounded. Lazy, mocking. "Deal with it, old man." Then he shut the door in my face. I stood there for a second, stunned. My hand was still in the air. I walked back to my house, sat on the couch, and didn't move for 10 minutes. My hands were shaking. Not from fear, just anger. Deep, slow anger. The party went until 4:15 a.m. I didn't call the cops. Didn't yell. Didn't do anything that night. Next morning, I went outside. My lawn looked like a crime scene. Glass bottles shattered across the grass. Someone had vomited near my front step, twice. Cans, cigarette butts, even a condom wrapper. I stood there, holding a trash bag, breathing slow through my nose. I cleaned it all up without saying a word. Then I went inside and opened the cabinet under my desk. That's where I keep my little camera. Nothing fancy, just a porch cam I got on sale 2 years ago. I pulled the footage. I watched 3 guys from Kyle's party stumble across my yard at 2:12 a.m. One of them pissed behind my rose bushes. I took screenshots. Saved the clips. Then I started writing an email. I emailed the landlord, Brett. I was polite, but firm. I attached the videos, the pictures of the mess, and a summary of the last 3 weekends. I explained I'd lived here over 2 decades, that I wasn't being dramatic, that this was out of control. I didn't hear back for 2 days. On the 3rd day, around noon, someone knocked on Kyle's door. I watched from my window. It was Brett. He didn't call. Didn't warn anyone. He just showed up. Kyle answered the door in sweatpants and no shirt. He looked like he hadn't slept. Brett walked right past him into the house, clipboard in hand. I saw Brett look around, checking things. He went into the backyard, then came over to my house. I opened the door before he could knock. "Mind if I ask you a few things?" he said. I let him in. We sat at my kitchen table. I showed him the video footage, the photos, the dates. He took notes. "I've gotten 3 complaints this month from other neighbors," he said. "Didn't think it was this bad." I just nodded. He went back next door. 10 minutes later, I heard him raise his voice through the wall. I couldn't hear what was said, but Kyle didn't say much back. That evening, Kyle didn't throw a party. In fact, he didn't play any music. But I wasn't done. Not yet. The next morning, I saw Kyle pacing in his driveway, phone to his ear, talking fast. He looked nervous.
Jumpy.
He kept looking over at my house, like I had some kind of power over him now. And in a way, I did. That day, I made copies of the videos and photos.
Printed out everything.
I wrote a short, clear letter and walked it over to the other houses on the street. Only the ones I knew personally. 5 houses. I didn't say much. Just that I'd had enough, and if anyone else had issues, they should know who to contact and what was happening next door. 2 of them texted me that night. One neighbor, Kathy, said Kyle's guests had parked across her driveway last weekend. Another, Mr. Baker, said he found beer cans in his koi pond.
So I wrote again.
I updated Brett. I told him I wasn't alone. He responded this time within the hour. "Thanks for the info. I'm talking to legal tomorrow. I'll let you know." That's when things got weird. Around 9:30 p.m. that night, someone rang my doorbell and ran. I heard laughing. I opened the door and saw nothing but a smashed egg dripping down the screen. I didn't chase them. I just stood there staring at the mess, then quietly closed the door. It happened again 2 nights later. This time it was shaving cream on my car windows. I knew who it was, Kyle, or one of his drunk little friends. But I had no proof. I didn't call the cops. I just turned up the motion sensitivity on my porch camera and kept watching. 3 days later, Brett came back. This time with a second guy in a button-down shirt, someone from the rental management company, I think. They went into Kyle's house and stayed for almost an hour. When they left, Kyle came out to the curb and just stood there. His arms hung loose. His face was blank. He didn't even look mad, just hollow. He moved out 2 days later. But before he did, something happened I didn't expect. It was late, around 11 p.m. I was about to turn in when I heard a knock. I opened the door, and there he was.
Kyle.
Alone. He looked sober for once. Tired. He didn't say anything for a few seconds. Then he muttered, "You ruined my lease." I didn't say a word. He kept going. "You could have just come to me again. You didn't have to do all this." I looked him in the eye. "You told me to deal with it. So I did." He stared at the ground, nodded once, and walked off. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. It wasn't from Kyle. It was from the city. Someone had filed a complaint about hazardous yard conditions. Photos were attached. Old ones. From the morning after that party. The vomit, the glass. But cropped to make it look like my mess. My name was listed on a formal warning notice. Kyle's revenge had just started. I took the letter straight to my desk, sat down, and read it 3 times. It was official, city code compliance. It said if I didn't clean the hazardous debris from my lawn within 10 days, I could face fines. My hands were shaking again, but this time it wasn't just anger. It was disbelief. I called the city number listed on the notice. Got transferred 3 times before landing on someone who half cared. "I don't understand," I said. "This mess wasn't mine. It came from a tenant who's already moved out." The woman on the line sighed. "Sir, we don't determine who made the mess. We just respond to what's reported and what we see in the pictures. You can file a dispute. There's a process." I did file the dispute. Sent in my own photos. My own videos. Dated. Time-stamped. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that someone had gone out of their way to make those original photos look like they were taken on purpose. The angle. The focus. They weren't casual. I was sure it was Kyle. I tried calling Brett. He answered on the third ring. Yeah, I heard something about that, he said. Crazy, right? Do you think it was him? I asked. I wouldn't put it past him, Brett said. But legally, I can't say much.
He's gone.
I've locked the place up. I hung up and sat there. My gut told me this wasn't over. A week later, a black car started parking down the block. Same spot every day. Driver stayed inside. Just sat there for hours. I thought I was being paranoid at first, until I walked past it one morning and saw the guy inside holding a camera with a long lens. I stared right at him. He looked away. 2 days later, a drone flew over my backyard. I heard the buzz while I was watering the roses. It hovered for 30 seconds, then zipped off. That night, I sat on my back porch in the dark. I didn't even turn the lights on. Just sat there, waiting, listening. Around midnight, the black car drove by again. Slow this time. Then it stopped. The driver got out. He didn't see me sitting in the shadows. He walked up to my trash cans, opened the lid, took pictures. That's when I snapped. I stood up and flipped on the porch light. Hey! I shouted. The guy froze. He looked maybe late 30s, slim, clean-shaven. Didn't look like a thug, more like someone's assistant. What the hell are you doing? I asked, stepping toward him. He didn't answer. Just turned and walked fast to the car, got in and drove off. I called the non-emergency number again. Gave them the license plate. They said they'd send someone out to patrol the area. But I already knew it wouldn't matter. This wasn't random. Someone had hired that man. Someone had sent in that drone.
Someone was watching me.
And the only person I'd made an enemy of was Kyle. But he was gone. Or so I thought. I still don't know who filed that last complaint. Or who sent the guy with the camera. Maybe it wasn't Kyle. Maybe it was someone he knew, someone who owed him a favor. But now, every time I hear a car slow down in front of my house, I flinch. Every time the porch light flickers, I wonder if someone's out there watching. I got what I wanted, he's gone. The music stopped. The parties ended. But the quiet doesn't feel like peace. It feels like waiting for whatever comes next. And I don't sleep through the night anymore.
A few weeks went by.
The cars stopped showing up. No more drones. No more letters. I thought maybe it was finally over. Maybe Kyle had moved on, found someone else to blame. I started letting myself relax a little. I even planted new grass where the old lawn had been torn up from the mess. Thought about putting in a small bench. Then one afternoon, I got a visit from a woman I didn't recognize. She looked early 40s, dressed sharp but casual. She knocked on my door with a clipboard in hand. "Are you Mr. Reese?" she asked. I nodded, uneasy. "I'm from Crescent Ridge Realty. We're handling the sale of the house next door." I blinked. "It's for sale?" She smiled. "Yes, sir. The owner decided to pull out of the rental market. We're just doing some initial inspections. Open house should be in about 2 weeks." She handed me a flyer and walked off. I stood there staring at the paper, not reading the words. That night I called Brett. "I thought you were holding on to it?" I asked.
He sighed.
I was. But after all that stuff with Kyle, the property just became more trouble than it was worth. "I'm cashing out. It's not personal." I didn't say much. Just thanked him and hung up. The house went on the market that weekend. The cars started showing up for viewings. Couples walked through with realtors. One even stopped to chat with me, asked how the neighborhood was. I wanted to lie. I wanted to say it was peaceful, safe, quiet. But all I could manage was, "It used to be." By the second weekend, a sale pending sign went up. A week later, it was sold. That's when the envelope showed up on my porch.
No stamp.
No return address. Just my name in sloppy handwriting. Inside was a printed photo of me, sitting on my porch drinking coffee. It had been taken from the side, maybe behind a bush or a car. I didn't remember the day, but I remembered the shirt I had on. That photo wasn't old. It was recent. No note. No threat. Just the picture. I checked my porch cam, but nothing. Whoever dropped it off knew the blind spots. I brought it inside, sat down, and stared at it for a long time. That's when I realized Kyle didn't have to live next door to keep messing with me. He could be anywhere. He could be watching from a distance using someone else. Maybe he was trying to scare me. Maybe he just wanted to remind me that he wasn't done. And the worst part? It worked. I started keeping the blinds closed. Installed a second camera in the backyard. Told my brother I might come stay with him in Flagstaff for a bit just to get out of town. But deep down, I knew running wouldn't change anything. Whatever this was, it had already followed me home. 2 nights after the envelope, my motion sensor light clicked on at 2:16 a.m. I sat up in bed, heart pounding, quietly walked to the front window and peeked through the blinds. No car. No people. Just the stillness of my yard, lit up in pale yellow. I watched for 5 full minutes. Nothing. The next morning, I found footprints in the dirt by the side gate. Just one set. Not big, someone average-sized. They hadn't come to the front. They'd gone around back. That changed everything. I didn't feel safe in my own home anymore. I called the police. They came out, took a report, said they'd make a note to increase patrols. One of them, a younger guy, maybe mid-20s, looked me over and asked if I had any enemies. I wanted to say no, but all I said was, just one. The officer gave me a look I couldn't read, nodded, and left. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch with the lights off, holding a flashlight and my old aluminum bat I used to keep in the garage. Nothing happened, but I kept sitting there, hour after hour, just listening. The next few days, I tried to go back to normal. Mowed the lawn, cleaned the gutters, but everything felt different. Like I wasn't alone, even when I was. Then, one afternoon, I got a call from someone I hadn't spoken to in years. His name was Mark. Used to be Kyle's boss. He ran a small auto body shop where Kyle worked part-time before getting fired. "I heard he's been talking about you," Mark said, voice low. "He said you ruined his life. He's been crashing at some buddy's place out in Vale. Drinking a lot. Angry. Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because I remember what he was like before, and what he turned into after. You should know he blames you for everything." I thanked him and hung up. That night, I walked the perimeter of my house 3 times. Checked every lock, every window. I don't even know what I was looking for. I just couldn't shake the feeling that I was being hunted. Not in some big, dramatic way. Quietly. Patiently. A week later, a delivery I didn't order showed up. 20 pizzas. All paid for in cash. The delivery guy looked confused. "You're not Reese?" "I am," I said. "But I didn't order anything." He looked at the receipt, shrugged, and walked off. Next day, a plumber showed up, said he got a call about a burst pipe in my basement. There was no burst pipe. I knew the pattern now. Small, annoying things. Designed to wear me down. Make me paranoid. Push me towards something. But I didn't know what. And that's what scared me the most. I still live in the same house. The music's gone. The lawn's clean. The cameras are up. But I haven't felt safe here in months. I don't even know what I'm waiting for anymore. Another letter. Another fake call. A face at the window. People think revenge is loud, fast, a big moment. But sometimes it's slow. Quiet. Like someone dragging their fingers down the side of your life, just to remind you they can. I used to feel proud of how I handled it. Now I just feel watched.